Today's conversation is with Mel Balmont, the relationship wing girl. Mel's mission is to rekindle the spark that we are all born with, the belief that absolute love is possible. She believes she was put on the earth to ensure that love makes the world go around. And she does this by transforming people's lives, redefining and releasing love in all relationships. Our topic today is Stop Romance Hangovers. Mel, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. We've done one before. It went really well, so I'm back.
Yay, I'm so glad you're back. Because your book is amazing, and for some people it's truly life-changing in more ways than just intimate love relationships. So thank you so much for putting your book out into the world.
Well, the whole point of putting that stuff out of your head onto paper is to make it accessible for everybody. So yes, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And how did you get into being a relationship wing girl, and what is that anyway?
Well, the journey is quite a broad and with two business shifts, I guess. It started with the ultimate romantic gesture, and that's marriage proposals. So I wanted to help men understand and I guess communicate what is best within themselves of how they express their love. So we each have different ways of showing our partners how we love them, but we don't necessarily understand it within ourselves of why we do certain things or why somebody doesn't appreciate certain things that we do. So that marriage proposal, that was an idea that's still, I think, on the back burner. I can't quite let go of that romantic gesture. I would steer them away from a Valentine's Day proposals, though.
Now, I know that you recently put a post on your Facebook page. It was a live video, and it was February the 14th, Valentine's Day, and it was kind of controversial, a little bit of a kick in the Valentine butt for some people. It was very anti-Valentine's.
I am a romantic. I want to kind of frame that up. I am some would say a hopeless romantic, but what I'm against is the status quo and being told how to do romance and those stereotypes of what Valentine's Day has become for, I guess, a society as a collective. So that's what I'm against, and certainly, especially only doing it on one certain day of the year, the same day as everybody else is receiving their acknowledgements of love. So that's what I'm against, not the gesture and purpose of what Valentine's Day is really about.
I personally really like Valentine's Day because, like every other high point in the calendar, Christmas, birthday, anniversaries, it's kind of like that reminder that to take a moment out of the distractions of life and work and go, oh yeah, today I'm going to focus on expressing my love to the people that are important in my life. Not as an exclusion to doing it any other day, but just as a reminder.
Yeah, my take on it is use Valentine's Day as that prompt of going, what do I want to do? Maybe this year. It's kind of like my reflection is Thanksgiving in America. It's the prompt of, have I acknowledged? What do I want to do? And I suggest my clients have a little black book of romance gestures. And maybe Valentine's Day is that kind of day where they reflect on their love instead of being the only day that they express it.
Okay, so your issue is more that if it's the only day they express it, there's a problem with that?
I wouldn't say problem, maybe.
There's a problem for you. You're not keen on that.
I just find it a bit cliched. And to be honest, being told once the same day as everyone doesn't make it special. That's my take on it.
Okay. So what's your background and how did you end up getting into being a relationship wing girl and specializing in relationship coaching?
Well, background's corporate, believe it or not. Specialize in men now because of that corporate background where I worked principally with male executives. And those 24 years in that environment, especially in the latter years when I was higher up the corporate ladder, to use that analogy. I was seeing a lot of singles dedicated to their careers and not really knowing how to communicate with the females. So I was giving a lot of advice and perspectives, and well before I ever became a coach. So that's the background and why the male thing has become my specialty. From there, life coaching, and a whole heap of personal development that I kind of summarize and pick the best of everything and put it into my coaching tools. So I don't know if does that answer your question?
It does. And you've been married before, you're not married now.
I got a funny story. Did you lead into this one? My ex-husband was called Regan. We didn't have romance because I didn't know how to tell him what was important to me and how I like to have love displayed to me. And now my new partner, who the gorgeous Regan II, has been in my life for 2 years. And I think we epitomize what a lot of people are looking for, and that's deep, open communication. We express romance in a number of different ways, including me getting down and dirty in the garden because he hasn't got the time to do it.
I was wondering where you were going with that. Well, it is, the romance in the month of love. So we can really talk about any aspect of love this month. But we're specifically going to be talking about romantic love. So let's talk about, right at the beginning, you mentioned that it was around, first of all, not being able to communicate how you want love and romance expressed to you. And also around not understanding other people's cues. So let's talk about what are some of the love cues and how can we recognize them?
Oh, it's a big topic. I don't really want to talk nonstop for 4 hours, but basically, I think the easiest way for people to understand is the love languages. It's one of the most well-known and relatable tool. So I will borrow Dr. Chapman's framework, which is understanding that we all like to have love expressed to us in one manner or another. I'm pretty easy. I only have 1 point difference between 3 different expressions. So I'm really easy to please.
So what are the 5 love languages? I believe there's 5. So
there
what
are
the 5?
So the one that is usually lowest for most people is gifts. And that's because society teaches us that to want gifts and to expect gifts is a little bit taboo in our society. So Christmas, we should have gratitude. So gifts is actually one of the lowest, and I've never yet seen it in 3 years as being somebody's top value. The other one is words of affirmation. That means we like to be told how we're valued and loved. The other 3 are quality time, which is a high one of mine. Acts of service, which represents them doing little gestures and maybe some chores or being considerate, remembering little details of your loved one and doing things for them. And the 5th has just gone out of my mind.
Mine is definitely words of affirmation and quality time. But my husband's love languages are acts of service and physical touch.
There we go.
And I'm like, I love a good hug. I like a little bit of physical touching. But if you really want to love me, whether it's romantic or not, tell me lovely things about me. Really, I love to hear it. Tell me like, oh my God, Nicole, you rock. That makes my day. Even if it's a girlfriend who says, I think the sun shines out of you.
Yes.
That works for me.
Yes.
But also quality time, like, Nicole, I'd really like to have a cup of coffee and a chat with you. Can I spend some time with you? Now, my love is full to overflowing. But if you gave me a gift, unless it's champagne or diamonds, I'd be very grateful. But my love tank wouldn't be filling up. Don't give me stuff. Don't give me gifts. I would rather you spend time with me and tell me wonderful words about my hair or my personality or, things I'm doing in the planet. Whereas my husband's love language is acts of service. So he shows me love by bringing me a cup of coffee in the morning. He washes my car. He makes dinner, brings me a glass of wine, picks the movie for the night. That's his way of saying, Nicole, you are amazeballs. So I have to interpret his language and convert it into my language. Otherwise, I would miss his love cue.
Yes, and that's exactly it. And just to reflect, the reason why touch was out of my head is because it's my second bottom one. It's just not on my, well, it is. I love hugs, but my languages are time, words, and service as well.
So gifts and physical touch are low priorities.
Very low priorities.
So, okay, let's use it in terms of, obviously we're talking about romance. So in terms of, if your top love language is physical touch, what would that look like?
The person who's going to feel most appreciated and enjoy touch the most, it's not sex. A lot of people think by default touch is about the physical sexual intimacy. It's not. It's about the touch on the shoulder, holding hands. It might not be in public. It doesn't necessarily mean that either. That's a personality aspect. But if you're sitting on the couch, that a touch person will want to have physical connection with their partner. That across a dinner table, are they eyeballing one another, and is there the ability to reach out and physically connect? And I love how you explained for me exactly the difference between what we give, what we like to do for others, is not necessarily how we like to receive. So those cues are really, it takes a little bit of self-reflection, and they shift as your needs are met. So quality time was quite high when I had a lack of time in my life. That has now shifted into service and words, because as my life has evolved, those are now what I feel I need more of, because I don't get much of them.
Okay, so if somebody wants to understand the 5 love languages and the cues a little bit more, they can find that in your book?
Yes, that's why I was reflecting and trying to remember the touch one. So it is in here, but the cues is paying attention. If you do something, if your husband, for example, cooks you dinner, Nicole, and you notice he's grumpy after he served you dinner, what is the trigger? It could be that he's not feeling acknowledged for something that he has done for you, and so he's expressed love, if that's his love language, and you haven't kind of received it.
So the way that I can fill up his love bucket, if you like, is if he's made me dinner and I look at him and I go, I really appreciate you making dinner.
And not just in the moment, it can be the next day as well.
Okay.
So
if you've missed the cue.
And you can reflect on it, or you can pay multiple homages to their services and their words and those things that are fulfilling you. There's nothing more wonderful than reflecting on whatever romantic moment and then thanking them as you are still reflecting and thinking of them days, weeks later. Okay. So that's, for me, part of how you can be romantic on an ongoing basis versus just in the moment, which is wonderful.
So we've got the 5 love languages. Are there other cues we should be looking out for?
I'm a big visual and tonal, so body language and vocal language. I can tell if my partner is not present with me, or there's something on his mind, or if I've done something that has upset or triggered him. I really pay attention to the way he's interacting with me. And it takes practice. You've got to really know your partner. So if you're with a new partner, don't be surprised if you're still getting wrong 6-8 months in, especially if you're not living together. That adds another a length or an expansion of how you really get to know your partner. So body language, vocal expressions, vocal tone is absolutely critical with how we talk to one another, and one's vibration that we use can really underpin our true intentions.
So if, for example, you know your own love languages, and maybe you've understood some cues, you've read the book, and your partner isn't going to read the book or isn't interested, how do you explain it in such a way that you can have your romantic languages met?
Well, there's 2 things. One, we cannot change another. It's frustrating, but it's a reality of life. There quite often is one part of a relationship that works more actively on a relationship than another. The difficulty in this sense is if you understand what truly makes you happy, what fills up your own happiness, I would suggest that doing things and then educating your partner how and why that really makes you feel connected or feels cherished. The why behind it is critical. I remember with my gorgeous man a couple of weeks ago, he explained something to me that he hadn't in 2 years around the reason why he didn't like something. And before that, I didn't really understand. I knew he didn't like that thing, but when he explained the why, as in it made him feel less worthy, that just changes your ability to pay more attention to it, especially if it's a default behavior of your own. And secondly, it's time to start romancing ourselves. I really think we should start cheating on our partners by cheating on ourselves, with ourselves, cheating on ourselves.
Ooh,
you know.
What do you mean?
I don't mean in the bedroom. I knew you were going to go there.
Oh, come on. Why not? We should cheat with ourselves in the bedroom.
But what we're talking about is the practical stuff. So buying yourself flowers, like I said on Valentine's Day, if gifts and those acts and gestures of flowers, which, let me explain a little bit why flowers are important to women. We're more connected to Mother Nature. So those green things that are live, on average, women appreciate more. I understand it's not the same for everyone. Some people don't like them. But as a general rule, women are more connected to the environment. That's why we love flowers. And they smell nice, hopefully, if you get the good ones. So if they make you that happy, instead of putting the pressure for the guy who doesn't buy them, who feels awkward or embarrassed to go into a florist or even to get them from the servo, because let's be real, society makes it a bit hard for a man to be gentle nowadays. Frickin' buy your own flowers, girls.
Take yourself on a date.
Definitely date yourself.
Don't wait for a man to give you a diamond ring. Buy it for yourself. Go and buy yourself some champagne.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, we're talking a little bit more along those material things and those gifts, but go for a walk with yourself. If you feel, I want to go for a picnic with my boy and he doesn't like doing that, take one of your girlfriends and romance your girlfriends. Champagne the weekend? Yeah. We're going dancing in a couple of weeks.
We are.
We're going to romance each other because girls love to dance. Well, again, generally, women love to dance. So we know the boys don't really like to, or our men don't really like to, and that's okay.
But it's a big thing for me. And we were talking the other day about the importance of, you know, not regretting anything when you get to the end of your life, or even if you, you know, get halfway through your life. And one of the things my mum regretted was that my dad didn't like dancing. And when they divorced and that she was older and she was at the end of her life, one of the big things was she didn't dance enough. And I thought, oh, this is sad. So we were talking the other day and I mentioned that I love to dance. My husband's not so keen. I love doing things like salsa and all those things. And we just made a date. Right. Let's take each other dancing.
Yeah. And it's simple as that, because then the pressure's not, oh, you won't go dancing with me. Or when we're out socializing at a pub and we, you know, us girls getting the handbag dance floor. There's nothing worse than putting the pressure. Come and dance with me. Please dance with me. He feels so awkward and under pressure that it just makes it all the harder for him to relax on the dance floor.
And using the love languages as an example in that case is my husband's love language is acts of service. So he's more likely to drive me to go on this dancing date with you and pick me up afterwards rather than actually spend the time dancing with me.
Beautiful.
Dancing is, or spending time with me is my love language. Acts of service is his.
Yeah, that's a really nice way of combining our different needs. And then super acknowledge that he's doing that.
Cool.
And then tell your girlfriend to acknowledge him as well, because then he'll feel double the love.
Mel, if he does that, please double super acknowledge my man.
Is he touched? Shall I give him a hug?
No,
see?
No,
we've got to understand it. Not from me.
No, not because
not personal.
No, like his physical touch thing is more on an intimacy side. And even when it's from me, it's not intimacy touch from me, but he feels safe with me touching him, and it might be a back scratch.
Yes.
Right? A back scratch for him, particularly if I'm doing something else, and he will just sort of flop in front of me on the couch and wants a back scratch.
Yeah.
And me stopping being distracted by the rest of the world and focusing on giving him a really good quality back scratch, he feels incredibly loved. And I think, well, that was easy.
Yes.
I just filled my man's love tank, and all I had to do was sharpen my claws and on his back.
I have no words.
She has no words.
I don't know
it's
what.
very
I
unusual.
got nothing to say to that.
Okay, so dating ourselves is a weird concept, but I love it. And it also, as you say, takes the pressure off the other relationships or the other people that are in that relationship with you to fulfill needs that really you should be taking, or you could be taking care of yourself.
And just to reflect on my marriage, the reason why, one of the reasons why it fell apart from the whole children thing, was I didn't know how to talk to him about my needs. I didn't realize how important romance was to me. So I never felt that he understood my needs. I felt I was never completely validated in that love sense.
And was that for two reasons? One, you didn't know what they were and you didn't understand them well enough. And two, you didn't know how to communicate that I have a need and show that other person how to fulfill that need.
And on top of that, I didn't know what his needs were.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so where do we get this understanding or this misunderstanding or this no understanding about? Where does it come from?
I believe that there's a big lack of education around how to do relationships, how to do humaning. We don't even know who we are. We fall into so many just stereotypes and automatic patterns. This love language, I didn't know about it until I was 35. That's a long time to go without my needs truly being met. And the poor man in my life, men, throughout those years, didn't know how to please me. And now I'm super easy to please because he knows if he does one of three different types of love languages, I'm so easy to please. But because I understand myself.
And you've expressed it and you continue to keep that conversation open.
Yes. Continuous communication it's vital, especially if it's not quite given or received right. So if Reagan thought my love language was gifts or touch, I have to educate him. Like, that's beautiful. As you said earlier, I have so much gratitude for that. But spending $120 on 12 roses on Valentine's Day is beautiful. But I would much rather you spend the time with me with a cup of tea at the end of the day, having a conversation about your day and my day.
Okay. So. My conversation with my husband around Valentine's Day was about mid-afternoon, and I looked at him and I said, "It's Valentine's Day." And he said, "Yep, it's just like every other day.
It's just Wednesday."
And my comment was, "Yeah, it's kind of important to me." And he went, And so we're still going to have that conversation.
Or you can romance yourself.
Yes, I did romance myself. I even romanced myself on my birthday. I took myself out for a massage.
Oh, yeah.
I want a massage. I'm going to give myself a gifted massage. And then I went and had lunch by myself, had a cup of tea, and got my hair made pink.
Did you do that on your birthday?
I did it on my birthday. I had breakfast with the girls.
You did. That's why I didn't pick up you did it on your birthday.
I went and had, my husband brought me a cup of coffee in bed. I felt loved because that's his love language, act of service. So I felt immediately loved the minute I woke up on my birthday. No. Then I went out with the girls, which is what I needed, quality time and words of affirmation because they all told me I was awesome. They tell me that all the time. I pay them really well. And then I went and had the massage and got my hair done. And that was time with myself, doing something for myself. And then the evening was spent online, connecting with people online. So quality time online with people who I wanted to spend time with.
So just reflecting, relationship coaching. It sounds like you're a little bit unhappy with your husband, and I don't think that's the case, is it?
Does it sound that way?
It does a little.
How? Where?
That you had to do all these things because he wasn't doing what you wanted. So I'm just giving you the opportunity just to explain that.
Oh, thanks. No, I don't want it to come across that way. No, I've learned the lesson of romancing yourself and sitting back and going, oh, okay, that we don't have a match there, and I can ask for what I want and I might not get it. And that's okay because I can still take care of those needs. So on Valentine's Day, I had some really nice chocolate that I gave myself.
You like your chocolate.
Yeah, I do. And I had a glass of champagne. It's like, yay, happy Valentine's Day. I love me. I'm in love with me. I'm in love with being alive, of the journey of being me. I'm in love with the people I get to spend amazing time with and things I get to do in the world. It doesn't directly need to be a need satisfied by my romantic partner.
You took the words out of my mouth. That was just what I was going to say. It's not relying on someone else to bring you that happiness. And that's where a lot of trouble really begins.
And that comes from societal expectations and the media and the marketing people that say it must be this way. It must look this way, be done this way. Otherwise, you're going to miss out. I didn't miss out on Valentine's Day. I didn't miss out on my birthday.
Shall we move on? We
did have a lot of things to talk about, but I did want to ask you, what is a romance hangover?
Well, it is what it is. It is what it sounds like. It's when you feel empty, you feel fed up and full of blame, or just sadness that you haven't had what you would have liked to have happened. We've all, like you said, you could have ended Valentine's Day going, I didn't get any chocolate, I didn't get any champagne, no touch, no words. Instead, you understood yourself, romanced yourself. So the hangover is around, no one else can live your life for you. You have to find your own way of expressing and fulfilling your own happiness. That reliance and codependency on your partner is always going to be hard work for them. And like you reflected on your mum's, a lot of people have regrets at the end of their relationships, or at the end of their marriage, or the end of their lives, when they regret not doing things that make them happy. And it's just tragic when I hear, particularly with the women I'm working with now, how sad or lonely they can feel. And that's my definition of a hangover. It's just the heaviness within yourself, and it's just not necessary anymore. Again, because of the movies, because of the media and what's shoved down our throat of how it should look. And if we don't get that, we feel like we're not being loved. And God, it's just freaking tragic that people don't realize that they're being told how they should be romanced or be romantic. And if it doesn't fit with what your needs are, it's always going to feel yuck.
Yeah.
Like a hangover.
2 days before Valentine's Day, 19 years ago, my husband had just proposed to me. 2 days later, on Valentine's Day, I woke up and we went through the day, and at the end of the day, I was so sad. The next day, I was like, I had a hangover. I had a romance hangover. And I looked at him and I went, look, I'm not sure that I've made a good choice here, because we just had Valentine's Day and you didn't bring me any flowers and didn't have any chocolate and blah, 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 right? He looked at me and he was shocked and horrified. He said, but I spent the whole day with you and I took you to all my favorite spots and I shared that with you. How is that not romantic? And for me, that was the first indication that we spoke a different language. And when I really thought about it, I went, I did feel really loved. I did feel romanced, because he spent all that time with me sharing important things. But it was that realization that somewhere along the line, I've been miseducated.
Correct.
And it is by media, by commercialization of romance, by movies, and this drama around romance, and it doesn't need to be there.
Oh, you just triggered a thought.
Oh, here we go.
Drama of breakups. Why do breakups have to be so dramatic and hard work? And don't buy into that shit either.
You can break up gently,
gracefully,
with
honor, with respect. And I love helping my clients do that. Anywho, I digress. I really want to get to the question that one of the ladies asked you.
We did have somebody just before we went live. We asked if anybody had any questions, and we got one pop up.
Her name is Christina. Hi, Christina, if you're watching. And she wants to know how to set good boundaries. Now, that's another broad topic, so I'm going to try and answer it without really knowing the true intention behind the question. For me, it simply comes down to communication. And depending what kind of boundaries we're referring to. Ultimately, just in case you don't know, ladies, men are not mind readers. Did you know that?
What, really?
We want them to be.
Thank goodness they're not mind readers.
Yeah, you might get a lot more touching. The problem I think a lot of us have is we assume, we assume that they know what we want. We assume that the decisions we're making are understood. How many conversations, if you reflect back, have you had where you have been misunderstood? And it's the assumptions we make. So boundaries, again, I'm not quite sure what you mean by boundaries in this context, but it has to be, if you know your boundaries really well, you should be able to communicate them. Now, you got to pick the right time, the right setting, and you've got to frame up your conversation beforehand so it doesn't make the issue negative to begin with. So if it's, let's talk about touching boundaries as an example. It's not that I don't want you touching me, partner. It's in this environment or like this or at that timing doesn't quite work for me. My boundaries are uncomfortable. So it's explaining not you're doing it wrong, but why that boundary is uncomfortable. That's the best I can answer without knowing which specific kind of aspect of life you're talking about.
You know what, the relationships are such a huge topic, and your book covers so many aspects of that. It's an absolute wealth of information.
Thank you.
I'm so really happy it's out there in the world.
I don't know what
so we might have to, break down relationships into a few more interviews, because we really want to go for half an hour so people can consume the content in one sitting. But there's so much to talk about when it comes to this. So we'll have to have you back on the show again soon.
Okay then.
Okay then. But before we go, Mel, how can the audience get in touch with you if they've got any questions around boundaries and around how to avoid a romance hangover by understanding their love language and their cues?
I think the easiest way is probably Facebook. Most people do prefer that. You can private message me if you've got a specific crisis, which is one of the services I provide. By crisis, I mean, oh my God, the shit's hit the fan. I'm really angry, or they're really upset. Let me just diffuse that situation. So Facebook's probably the best method.
Cool, great. And do you have a website?
I do. I've got two websites. I've got one with my own branding, melbalmont.com, and my coaching services are qtconsulting.com.au.
Fantastic. And where can they get a copy of your book?
Facebook message me.
Oh,
I think it's the easiest for everyone because we're on Facebook.
Absolutely. And guys, for those who are here on Facebook right now, you can go and put a comment at the bottom of this video, and Mel will respond to you there because she's in the group Living Hot and Healthy. She's here a lot, so connect with her right here where you're watching this video right now. So thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Hugs now. Physical touch. Tell me something nice about me.
You look real pretty.
Oh, thanks. See, that's how
I can't do the pink hair. I could never do a color, but God, you rock it.
We're friends, right?
What? Just because I don't want pink, I don't want orange hair either.
But you did give me a compliment, and it's words of affirmations, and I feel a little bit, like topped up. Thanks. And she spent quality time with me.
We're in love.
What was yours? You had 3.
Time.
Right, done. Tick. Next.
Words.
Love you. You're awesome. Third one.
Service.
Well, I've made you a cup of tea.
She made me. Which
See
is
how
really good.
easy it is to romance each other, friends,
girlfriend,
self.
sister.
I can look in the mirror and say, Nicole, you're amazeballs, and I'm going to hang out with you all day today. There, just took care of my own romance needs.
You rock.
I know.
Let's sign off.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like this episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button and go and check out all our other videos. I'll see you in the next one.